Rene Francis Ghislaine Magritte was born in 1898 and is the most celebrated Belgian surrealist of the 20th century. It has been suggested that Magritte is so well known because of his new interpretations of old things in his deceivingly simple paintings, which not only makes him a master of the obvious, but of the obscure as well. Magritte was the eldest of his two brothers, Raymond and Paul, and his mother, Regina Magritte, was a hat designer whom committed suicide in 1912. 10 years later, in 1922, Magritte married his wife, Georgette Burge. However, a few years later, Rene's father, Leopold Magritte, a merchant tailor and businessman, passed away of diabetes.
Magritte's approach to his artwork was very unique in comparison to other artists of that time. He liked to model with everyday objects, human habits and emotions, placing them in foreign contexts and questioning their familiar style. Rene Magritte had a very pleasant career, which began at age 12, when he attended a weekly art class to draw and paint. At 18, he started study at an art school in Brussels, and from this point onwards, Magritte's career started to take shape, publishing his first commercial poster 2 years later. Magritte gained employment as a drawer in a factory that made wallpapers and started to make a living by designing advertisements for fashion shops. He also showcased his drawings and paintings in many exhibitions, where his work became more distinguishable as it gained extra exposure throughout the world. Magritte's fulfilling career came to an end when he sadly lost his battle to pancreatic cancer at the age of 69. However, Magritte's amazing style of art has continued to impact upon many movements, such as pop art and conceptualism. And his art has also had profound influence on artists such as Andy Warhol and Martin Kippenberger.
Throughout his career, Magritte crossed paths with artists such as Salvador Dali, Max Ernst, and Joan Miró, who all assisted Magritte in developing his surrealist work. However, Giorgio de Chirico, known as one of the biggest influences of the surrealist movement, had a large impact on Magritte. Magritte was so moved by Chirico's work, in particular the image of The Song of Love, that he stated the image moved him to tears when he witnessed it for the first time. From this point in Magritte's career, he decided to make each of his paintings a visual poem, a quality that he found present in Chirico's work.
Not only was Magritte inspired by his own imagination and inner thoughts, but the death of his mother had a large impact on some of his work. She was found face down in a lake with her nightgown wrapped around her face, and some critics point out that several of the subjects in Magritte's paintings, such as the lovers, are veiled in white sheets as a reference to his mother's suicide. During Magritte's career, movements such as Impressionism, Cubism, Futurism and Dada influenced him at different periods of time. However, he realised that his artworks that adopted these movements were not well received. It wasn't until he joined the Surrealism bandwagon in the mid-1920s that he achieved great success and began to make a name for himself with his precise techniques and unforgettable images.
For those who don't know, Surrealism began as a literacy movement after World War I and experimented with a new mode of expression called automatic writing, which sought to release the unrestrained imagination of the subconscious mind. The Surrealist movement gained momentum from the Dada movement, however it drew elements from Cubism and Expressionism. The key founder of Surrealism, André Breton, stated that the movement of Surrealism is sought to bring back freedom and liberation of thoughts and the unconscious dreamland that exists in everyone. Surrealism differed from other movements because it focused on positive expression, whereas a movement such as Dada fixated on the negative and destructive criticism of the world.
The two artworks that Taylor and I have selected by Rene Magritte during this movement of Surrealism are The Human Condition, produced in 1933, and The Lovers, curated in 1928. Both these artworks reflect the dreamlike illusions and mysterious objects of the Surrealist movement. When interpreting Surrealist art, qualities such as transformations in objects, eccentric imagination, and juxtapositions of recognizable images are normally present.
The painting of the human condition portrays surrealistic qualities as Magritte has used illusion to fool the eye into thinking the painting is something that it is not. At first glance, his artwork looks like a landscape being viewed through a window. However, in reality, the painting is of a painting on an easel in front of a window, containing the view outside the window. The illusionistic quality and transformation of an image in the human condition is what makes this painting by Magritte extremely surreal. However, in the painting of the lovers, Magritte has used not only his vivid imagination, but he has also demonstrated a symbolic approach to portray hidden meanings and leave the viewer to construct their own interpretations. The techniques that Magritte has incorporated into the lovers gives an immediate sense of surreal absurdity.
The subject matter in both paintings by Magritte is relatively different. In the human condition, the painting consists of a large window in a room, outlooking to the landscape with a canvas sitting on an easel in front of the window. In the painting of the lovers, the subject matter comprises of two people in the foreground, with the landscape in the background. It can be suggested that these two paintings share one thing in common when determining the subject matter, and that is, the landscape painted in each of the artworks has very similar colours and features.
In the painting of the human condition, Magritte suggests, when we look at the world, we think we see the world, but in actual fact, what we really see is just our perception of the world, which may or may not match reality. It can be depicted that the canvas on the easel represents our perception of reality, while the view of the landscape out the window is reality, and although our view of realism is a fairly accurate representation of the world, no one can ever be certain that they are seeing the world as it truly is. When viewing the lovers, several interpretations can be identified. As mentioned earlier, Magritte used the suicidal death of his mother as a common theme and memory throughout some of his works, hence the veiling of the figures' heads in the lovers. Another meaning that can be taken from the lovers is the portrayal of love is blind. This phrase signifies that the couple is blind with feelings from within. They are impulsive and are not worried about what one another looks like from the exterior. Magritte was also captivated by Fantomas, the anti-hero of a French novel and series who was always disguised with a cloth or stocking over his head.
At first glance, the white veils on the couple's heads is the focal point of the lovers. However, the thick bush to the right of the women is seen next, which helps to view the landscape behind the couple. In the human condition, the luscious scenery out the window is what the eyes are drawn to first, until the viewer establishes the easel and the canvas positioned in front of the window. The long red curtains help to lead the viewer's eyes up and down the painting to visualize it as a whole. When comparing and contrasting the visual qualities of the human condition and the lovers, it can be recognized that the sky in the background behind the couple and the lovers is quite dull and gloomy, which conveys a sense of unhappiness or dread. However, in the human condition, it is rather sunny, therefore suggesting energy or happiness.
The way Magritte has positioned the window and the easel in the human condition raises the point that he has painted with great precision and perspective. This can also be seen in the lovers, as the couple is positioned like they are standing on higher ground with the scenery and ocean in the background. It is almost like the couple is on a holiday and taking a picture of themselves with the landscape in the background. The line work, depth and shadows, not only in the landscape in both paintings, but in the veiling of the couple's heads in the lovers is very defined. Magritte has also used great depth and shadow in the thick, bold red curtains surrounding the window in the human condition.
The veiling of the couple's heads in the lovers are a whitish grey colour, which could signify purity, or it could also mean the purity is fading or tainted. Magritte has painted the women's top with thick reddish-brown brushstrokes. This colour implies that she is friendly, honest and genuine. However, the man's suit has been painted with dark brown tones, signifying that he is strong, yet sad and depressed. The meanings behind the different shades of brown can be interpreted in many ways. One could be that the man in the lovers is a reflection of Magritte, trying to come to terms with his mother's death, and the woman could be his wife, Georgette, trying to be of comfort to him. It can also be recognised that the colours of the couple's clothing provides a good contrast of colours from the landscape in the background, making the painting very easy to interpret.
In the human condition, the deep red colour Magritte has chosen for the long draping curtains makes a strong contrast against the light coloured walls, and detailed landscape creating balance in the painting. The single standing tree and luscious green scenery Magritte has painted on the canvas and out the window could be interpreted as life and mortality.
The fascinating and challenging images Rene Magritte has produced throughout his career proves why he is recognised as one of the best surrealist artists of the 20th century. Through Magritte's work, he has given viewers the opportunity to imagine and release their inner dreamland when trying to interpret his surreal paintings. He once stated, "To be a surrealist means barring from your mind all remembrance of what you have seen, and always being on the lookout for what has never been." Magritte successfully achieves this in The Human Condition and the Lovers by using his ability to turn ordinary objects and human emotions into unique, captivating illusions and images. From comparing and contrasting the two paintings, hidden meanings and interpretations can be uncovered, which helps to give an insight into Magritte's intriguing yet imaginative surrealist mind. His positioning of objects, strong colours and detail in each of the paintings creates contrast and balance, but also makes the objects in the artworks easy to visualise. Rene Magritte left his mark in this world by transforming the ordinary into the fantastic, and as Magritte once said, art evokes the mystery without which the world would not exist.